I spend way too much time thinking about why every budgeting video on the internet seems to have been written for someone who doesn't exist. If you're someone on a normal UK salary and get to the end of the month wondering where it all went, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it helps you out. Here's the thing. There's a rule you've heard 100 times. It's called the 50-30-20 rule. Half of your take home on needs, 30% on wants, 20% on savings. Clean, simple. Every finance channel on the internet swears by it. And on a £25,000 UK salary in 2026, it's mathematically impossible. Not tight, not aspirational. Impossible. The maths breaks before you've paid the rent. And the reason nobody tells you that is that most budgeting content isn't written for people on £25,000. It's written by people who left £25,000 salaries behind a decade ago and can't remember how it feels. So this video is different. Real numbers, UK numbers. What £25,000 actually leaves you with in 2026. Why the standard rule doesn't fit, and what does. Let's go. You earn £25,000 a year. That's not the number that appears on your bank account. Three things come out first. Income tax. 20% on everything above the £12,570 personal allowance, which works out to £2,486 a year. National insurance, 8% on the same slice, another £994 a year. And workplace pension if you're auto-enrolled, which almost every UK employee is by default. You're contributing around 5%, or about £1,000 a year. Added up, around £4,480 gone before you see anything. The amount that actually appears in your account each month is £1,710. If you've got a student loan, subtract a bit more. Plan 2. For anyone who went to uni between 2012 and 2023, the threshold is £29,385, so you pay nothing at £25,000. Plan 5. The new one for anyone who started uni from 2023. The threshold is exactly £25,000, so you pay nothing if you're right on the number, and about £8 a month if you're on £26,000. Small at this income, but real. £1,710 a month. Everything else in this video is built around that number. Why 50-30-20 is a lie at this income. Half of £1,710 is £855. That's what the standard rule says should cover all your needs. A room in a shared house outside London, according to Spare Rooms Q1 2026 data, averages £668 a month. That's the average, not the cheap end, not London, just a room somewhere in the UK. You've now got £187 left of your needs budget, and you haven't paid a single bill. Energy share, water share, broadband share, council tax, call it £150 a month, low end. Food, £150 to £200 if you cook. Transport, another £60 to £150 depending where you are. The actual needs number for a real person earning £25,000 in the UK in 2026 is between £1,150 and £1,400 a month, which is between 67% and 82% of your take-home, not 50%, never 50%. And London makes it worse. A room in a shared house in London averages £978, £310 more a month than outside London. If you're on £25,000 in London, your essentials eat over 90% of your take-home. That's not a budgeting problem, that's a maths problem the budget can't solve. £25,000 in London requires either lowering the rent, smaller rooms, further out, more housemates, or raising the income. There's no clever percentage that makes it comfortable. The standard rule was built for a version of the UK that no longer exists for people earning £25,000. So what does work? 75, 15, 10. At £25,000 in 2026, budgeting isn't about splitting your take-home into thirds. It's about a different structure. 75% on fixed essentials, rent, bills, food, transport, phone. £1,280 a month out of your £1,710. 15% on variable spending. Everything you spend on things you enjoy rather than things you need. Nights out, takeaways, clothes, the occasional impulse. £255 a month. 10% on savings. £170 a month. 3 quick things about that split, because the numbers only work if you understand what goes in each bucket. On the 75%, the trick isn't cutting essentials further, because you can't cut rent below what a room in a shared house costs. The trick is being honest about what's actually essential. Netflix isn't. Your gym membership isn't. The coffee shop habit isn't. If you're on £25,000, essentials needs to mean genuinely just the essentials. Everything else moves down. On the 15%, £255 sounds tight, and it is. But most people on this income, if they track their variable spending for 2 weeks, would find they're already spending more than £255 and not enjoying most of it. A £5 coffee 5 days a week is £100 a month gone before you've had any fun. Track it for a fortnight. You'll find £150 you didn't know you were spending. On the 10%, £170 a month feels like nothing. Here's the honest maths. £170 a month for a year is £2,040. That's a real emergency fund. That's the difference between annoying and financial crisis when the boiler goes. And if you're saving for a first home in a lifetime ISA, £170 a month becomes about £2,550 a year with the 25% government top-up. Not nothing. What a real month actually looks like. Let me walk you through a specific month, so this stops being abstract. You take home £1,710 on the 25th. Here's what happens. The single biggest change most people can make is on the 26th, the day after payday. £170 is transferred to a separate savings account by standing order. You don't see it, you don't touch it. You learn to live on what's left. This is called paying yourself first, and every study on savings behavior ever done says the same thing. People who move the money automatically save consistently. People who wait for what's left over almost never have anything left over. Automate it once, and you've solved the hardest part of budgeting for the rest of your life. That leaves £1,540. Fixed bills come out over the month. Rent, £668. Utilities and council tax share, £150. Phone, £15. That's £833 gone in fixed housing and utilities, which leaves £707 for the 4 weeks between paydays, roughly £175 a week. Of that £175, food is £40 to £50 for the week if you cook. Transport, £15 to £35. That's £55 to £85 gone on real essentials, leaving £90 to £120 a week for genuinely discretionary spending. Nights out, takeaways, impulse purchases, whatever you actually enjoy. That's not a lot. I'm not going to pretend it is, but it's a real number. It's a number you can live on. And at the end of the year, you've saved £2,000, paid every bill on time, and haven't lived like a monk. Compare that to what most people on £25,000 actually do. Spend everything, save nothing, hope next month is better, then something goes wrong and it all falls apart. The version above isn't the financial freedom fantasy sold on YouTube, but it's stable, and stable at this income is the whole game. Budgeting on £25,000 in the UK in 2026 is hard. Harder than it was 10 years ago, harder than it should be. Rent, bills and food have all gone up faster than starting salaries have. That's not your fault. It's not a personal failing. Pretending otherwise is what makes most budgeting advice feel condescending. But the system is stacked doesn't pay your rent. So the honest answer is, what can you control? You can control where the money goes when it lands. You can control whether you move savings out before you see them. You can control what you know about your direct debits. Most people find £30 to £80 a month in forgotten subscriptions the first time they check. You can control whether you shop around once a year on car insurance, broadband, and energy. None of that is glamorous. None of it makes you rich by Christmas. But quietly, month by month, it makes you the person who has £2,000 in an emergency fund instead of £0. It makes you the person who doesn't panic when the car breaks down. And when your income does go up in a year or two, because it will, if you keep at it, it makes you the person who has room to save more, rather than just spending more. Budgeting on £25,000 isn't about optimizing your way to financial freedom. It's about buying yourself stability. And stability is what compounds into everything else later. That's it. So here's what I want to know in the comments. What's the one fixed cost you've cut or shopped around on that made a real difference to your monthly budget? Broadband, energy, insurance? Tell me the specifics, because someone else on £25,000 reading this month will genuinely use it. If this helped, hit like and subscribe if you're not already. Proper Pence publishes UK-focused personal finance videos every week, all featuring real UK numbers. See you in the next one.